we all tend to think the big financial shift happens when you finally hit $1 million, right? But what if I told you the moment that truly changes everything, your whole relationship with money happens way, way earlier? We're not talking about six figures. We're talking about a specific turning point that pretty much rewires your brain. And that number, it's right around $20,000.
Just think about it for a second. Your entire mood can do a complete 180 in the 2 seconds it takes to open your banking app. It's this universal feeling, right? Either total dread or this huge wave of relief. And it almost always goes one of two ways.
So first, you've got the panic close. You know what I'm talking about. You just get a glimpse of the balance and you slam that app shut like you've seen a ghost. But then there's that other feeling. You open the app, you see the number, you take a breath, and you just feel it. That, okay, I'm good. Understanding that little shift from pure panic to stability, that's what this is all about.
To really get why that feeling of stability is so huge, we first have to talk about its opposite, the place most people are just desperately trying to climb out of. It's a state I like to call financial survival mode.
What is it really? Well, it's a state where your brain just has no free space. It's totally consumed by one single goal, making it to the next paycheck. There's zero mental bandwidth left for thinking about the long term or building wealth. It's all about just getting by.
And life in this mode, man, it's defined by this constant low-grade anxiety. Every single purchase, from groceries to gas, it just feels heavy. Every financial decision feels like this high-stakes gamble. Your whole focus just narrows down to this one single question over and over. Can I just make it through this month? But look, there is a way out of that maze. And that brings us to the core of this whole thing. The specific financial line in the sand that completely changes the game.
So, where does this change actually happen? It's not some vague, far-off goal like financial freedom. Nope, it's a surprisingly concrete number. For most people, that magic number is right around $20,000. And you might be thinking, okay, why so specific? Why not 10 grand or 50? Well, the reason is actually fascinating, and there are two parts to it. See, the power of this number isn't just a feeling in your gut. I mean, the psychological boost is huge, but it's also rooted in some really simple math. At $20,000, even a pretty modest 5% annual return is $1,000. That's a real, tangible amount of money that your money earned for you. It's the first time the math starts to feel like it's finally on your side. This slide just nails it. It really shows the two phases of building any kind of wealth. At first, it's all you. You're the one pushing that giant boulder uphill. 100% of the progress comes from your hard work, your discipline. It's a total grind. But once you cross that turning point, your money starts to help. It actually begins to do some of the heavy lifting. All of a sudden, investment returns aren't just these abstract percentages. They're real dollars that you didn't have to clock in for. Okay, the math is one thing, but honestly, the most powerful change happens right up here, between your ears. You go through this fundamental psychological shift. You stop playing financial defense, and you finally start playing offense. Your main question totally flips from this fearful, how do I avoid going broke, to a much more powerful, forward-looking question. Okay, how do I actually make this grow? Just think about where all your mental energy goes. Before this point, you're trapped in these tiny, small-stakes decisions, agonizing over a $5 coffee. But afterwards, you get all that mental space back. You can finally lift your head up and focus on the big picture stuff that actually builds wealth, like negotiating a raise, finding a better job, or planning a major career move. And this psychological shift, it leads to something even deeper. The whole process of saving that first 20 grand forces you to go through a complete identity upgrade. You literally become a different person. I mean, you can't just stumble into $20,000 in savings by accident. No way. You have to become the kind of person who thinks before they spend, who stays consistent even when they're not motivated, who can say no to something they want now for a bigger yes later. That new identity, the person you had to become in the process, that's infinitely more valuable than the money itself. And this new identity, it shows up in really practical ways, especially at work. With zero savings, you're just operating from a place of fear. You put up with bad bosses and toxic workplaces because you feel trapped. But with that financial cushion, you move differently. You carry yourself with confidence. You speak up in meetings. You take smart risks. And you negotiate from a position of strength, not desperation. That confidence alone can boost your income faster than any budget spreadsheet ever could. So this brings us to a super important point.
We have to completely reframe what this money is. It is not the finish line. It is the starting block. It's the solid foundation where real wealth gets built.
This right here is the critical mistake so many people make. They finally hit this number, and they see it as a reward to be spent, on a down payment for a car or a huge vacation. But it's not a reward for work you already did. It's the tool for your future. It's the launch pad that finally gets you out of just treading water and into real forward motion.
Because once you have this foundation, you have so much more than just money. You have the things money buys that are way more valuable. You have breathing room to think. You have options when life throws a curveball at you. You have the confidence to make bold moves. And you have time, the time to make smart decisions instead of desperate ones. These things right here, these are the real building blocks of wealth. So let's end on this thought. No, $20,000 won't make you rich in the way we usually think about it. But what it will do is fundamentally change how you operate in the world, how you think, how you act, and the decisions you make from a place of stability, not stress. And that is what puts you on an entirely new trajectory. That is the true turning point, where the path forward finally starts to get a little bit easier.